Sony just shot themselves in the head again, which means it's Wednesday. Yeah, so Sony just announced that starting from January 2028, they will no longer be producing physical discs for any newly released games past that point. Which isn't fun. It's not good. I'm sure you can understand why, especially if you're a physical collector, or if you just care about physical media in general. You could understand why that is not a good thing. Now, physical media has unfortunately been on decline for a while. In 2020, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X released. The Xbox Series X had an alternate option called Xbox Series S, which is similar in power and scope to the Xbox Series X, but it doesn't have a disc drive, so if you had any games physically on there, you were basically unable to use them. The PS5 had a digital-only option, so basically, again, same as a regular PS5, but there's no disc drive, which is not great, but it was an option. It was an alternate option that you could pick if you wanted. Yes, the digital-only options were cheaper because they cost less to make, but if you wanted the option, you could spend that extra money and get a disc drive version. And also, even with stuff like the PS5 Slim, you could add a disc drive to it, or it was Slim or the Pro, I can't remember. One of them was like digital only, and they came with the option to add a disc drive. It might have been both, I could be wrong, I don't know. But the point is, you always had the option for physical stuff. Now, now you do not have that option. That option is gone. Starting from January 2028, you won't have that option anymore. You'll be forced, if you're on PlayStation, to only use digital stuff, which isn't great. Especially with the PS6, just generally, the PlayStation 6, and I'll get into this, isn't looking like it's going to be a great time. We're looking at a Wii U level failure here. And I'm serious when I say that. But yeah, I mean, with the digital stuff, it's not fun. Are there benefits digital only? Yes, of course. There are absolutely benefits. There's pros and cons to both physical and digital. I don't think anyone can really deny that, regardless of which end of the spectrum you side with. With digital, at least, you get the, it's more accessible, which is the biggest pro to digital. It is easier, especially if you're a content creator, to stream with, since you, and even just for regular consumers, you get the game the moment it releases. You don't have to wait for, an Amazon driver to deliver it, or you have to go out and buy the game when stores open. You don't have to wait for any of that. You can just kind of go buy it immediately on the store, which is great. It's more accessible. It's easy to do. It is a positive aspect of digital media, and especially for indie creators, like, for example, something like Deltarune or Unbeatable, which is getting a physical release. Unbeatable's getting one this month, actually. But my point is, regardless, for before, it didn't have a physical release, and I believe it probably got that physical release because of the success of digital. I could be wrong on that, but I have to imagine it was done because of how successful the digital launch was. For indie creators, it's just easier. You don't have to worry about the costs of manufacturing physical discs and physical stuff in general. You can just get your stuff out there, you can get your project out there, and it's great. That is, again, another positive for companies, obviously, but indie creators, indie people who want to make something, who want to make their passion project and get it out there. It's less expensive to publish on the PlayStation Store or on the Xbox Store, on the eShop, or whatever you're doing it on, than it is to, make a physical copy and have to sell that everywhere in stores. But there's also, negatives to digital, which is the biggest problem, and the negatives arguably might outweigh the positives, is that with digital, you don't own that stuff. Anytime your account could get banned, it could, the internet goes out, you're fucked. Like, especially now, a lot of consoles are, internet reliant, a lot of games are internet reliant, and this is something that is starting to affect physical media as well, which I'll get into, but basically, if you don't have an internet connection, you're fucked, which especially affects, like, poorer families, people who can't afford internet, people who can't afford to get that stuff. If you're getting a console, maybe just one console to, please your kid and, give them something to mess with. It's going to become something that you're also going to need to pay an extra cost, which could be really expensive. Yeah, so it's like consoles are generally becoming a luxury, and now you could just have that stuff revoked. With digital only, the issue is that if your account gets banned, that's it. You lose all of that. Like, it's gone permanently. If you get banned for just because the company chooses to ban you, or even if the servers go offline, even if it's not even your fault, even if the servers go offline, if randomly one day Sony's like, actually, we're ending PSN is over, PlayStation Network no longer exists, that's it, the store is gone. You can't buy those games anymore, that's thousands of games lost, which is awful. It's like, the reason people love physical media so much is that no matter what, again, this doesn't affect every game, because, some games are like, okay, well, now we're going to require you to also install this update or whatever to make the game more playable, and that's another issue of digital stuff, is like a lot of games will have bugs or release not as polished as they should be, and then those bugs and stuff will be fixed via updates, but, without internet, if you're just doing it without internet, you don't get those. You'll have to play the standard version, which could be buggy, could have game-breaking issues. It's a problem, and okay. The thing, though, that I think is another issue is, again, this really does affect the PS6, and, the thing is, it's really funny how much things have changed, because when PS5 was coming out, everyone was like, oh god, this is the PS5, this is following up the PS4, this is so exciting, the PS4 was a incredible console, it had a great generation, it had a great exclusive, a great run overall. You had the Spider-Man games, you had Spider-Man game, because there was only one at the time, you had Spider-Man, you had God of War, you had all of these incredible exclusives on the PlayStation platform that were almost 6 years into the PlayStation 5's lifespan. Not going so well. Basically every game that is on the PS5 is now also on PC, which, not very great. And so the only real exclusive we have is like Astro Bot and hopefully soon Wolverine, and then like what after Wolverine? We don't know. We don't know what's releasing after Wolverine. I mean, I think maybe God of War Alpha, I don't know. But once 2028 hits, that's it. That's it. It's over. It's done. You're gonna have to get all of that stuff digitally. And the thing with the PS6 is it's already not looking like a great console. It's going to cost $1,000. It's probably going to cost $1,000, considering the rise of AI and that making everything more expensive. The rise of 80 pound games, which is like fucking absurd, and GTA 6 is arguably I would argue GTA 6 is a problem in all this, because it's definitely going to be a Trojan horse into GTA 6 have already announced won't be physical at launch, and there might be something physical later down the line, but won't be at launch, which means people, if GTA 6 is insanely successful without the physical option, companies are going to see that and be like, okay, yeah, no, fuck it, more companies are just going to be like, okay, we're just not going to do physical anymore. And then again with GTA 6 is ridiculously expensive. It's like $80, and then you have to, and then $100 for the Ultimate Edition, which, by the way, the Ultimate Edition locks content that you can't get in the base game, so if you want the full experience, you have to get the Ultimate Edition. So, on top of the PS6 being more expensive, having no physical options, it is also going to probably have $80 games, and just a whole lot of other stuff that has been piling up, with Sony constantly shooting themselves in the fucking foot recently. And of course, that's not the only thing they announced today. They also announced that oh my god. So alongside the fact that they're now only going to be digital starting in January 2028, the PS3 and Vita stores are shutting down, so backwards compatibility completely screwed. It's funny how they're not even, like, slightly hiding their motives for doing this. It's all money incentive. It's all money advised. They just want money. That's it. There's no other, like, incentive for doing this. It's just literally they want money. And by the way, the digital-only stuff will affect third parties even going physical, because if you want, first of all, again, the PS6 is probably going to be digital only, but if you want if you want to make a physical copy of your game, you need to go through Sony, which means if Sony's not doing physical production anymore, you can't do that. Which means, you know, likely for physical stuff, you'll have to go. I don't even know. I mean, I do get it. It's money. Again, it's literally all money incentivized. It's either go through Sony or go through some third-party business. Who knows? But it still sucks, and it's still an awful situation, and I just don't get it. And also, I wanted to mention that, like, in the announcement, they say specifically that already released games won't be affected. So, for example, Wolverine. Wolverine's not released at the time of me recording this, but by the time this goes into effect, Wolverine will have been out for over a year at that point. So, Wolverine won't be affected. But that's a lie, because they need, obviously, printing these games and getting them on physical discs and doing the box art costs money. So, if we don't Sony doesn't have that money going into physical production anymore, physical games aren't being sold, so no physical production. Eventually these discs are going to stop being made and stop being sold, and the only way you'll be able to get them is through secondhand. And sure, it's not a big issue, you know, there'll always be copies out there, you know, remember how Nintendo was like, oh yeah, we're gonna stop selling 3D Mario All-Stars after a certain amount of time. But you can still find copies out in the wild to this day, but even then, it's still like a thing of, those copies are going to be more expensive, they're going to be used, so you won't be able to get, you won't be able to get stuff within the box, there might be stuff missing, the disc could be scratched, etc. Those copies are going to be used. You'll have to get them secondhand, you'll have to get them through other places. Eventually, they say it won't be affected, but eventually it will be affected. So they kind of just lie there, they're like, oh yeah, physical copies won't be affected, but that's only for now. Eventually, they're going to be stop being printed, stop being made, and they will be affected. And I do think it's important to mention that, obviously Sony isn't the only one doing this, it's Microsoft as well. Microsoft is also, apparently there's reports that the next Xbox console or whatever they release will be only digital, which is crazy. It's crazy to me that Nintendo is, like, arguably the best option you have now. Because Nintendo has game keycards, but first of all, for their first-party releases, game keycards don't exist. The only technically thing we've had, the only, like, big major Nintendo-related release we've had that was third-party, well, not third-party, that was game keycard was Pokopia, but Pokopia isn't a first-party title. Technically, Pokemon as a whole isn't first-party, because it's developed by Game Freak, usually, or developed by someone not owned by Nintendo. And so that makes it, but it is exclusive to Nintendo, so it's more of a second-party thing. But in Pokemon as a whole, and Pokopia especially, aren't first-party. But even then, ZA wasn't a game keycard. It was in the box. It was a full physical release. All of Nintendo's games have been full physical releases. Third parties haven't, but even more third parties are starting to be like, okay, actually, we're just going to do physical because, game cards aren't selling well. People don't want them. People want their games fully on the box, fully on the disc or the cartridge or whatever. They do not want to go through game keycards. And also, Nintendo doesn't have any say in whether people do game keycards or not. They can offer the option, they can offer the options to it, and more cartridge sizes, but they don't have any say in overall whether you do it or not. In the end, it's up to you whether or not you want to do a game keycard or do a full physical release. But just be aware that if you do a game keycard, it's probably going to sell worse because people don't want that. If you're going to do a game keycard, people are probably just going to end up buying it digitally. Overall, I just think the situation is just bad. Like, it's not fun. I've got a big, not big, but I've got like a sizable physical collection for both PS5 and my Switch, and now Switch 2. So seeing that kind of come to an end with PS5, well, and probably PS6, it's unfortunate. It's not fun. I don't think I already Sony is receiving major backlash for this, even on their stuff unrelated to PlayStation. Like, they posted a Spider-Man tweet being like 30 days, which, by the way, peak fiction, by the way, we will be there for Spider-Man, brand new day, and that's my go. But they posted a tweet being like, oh, 30 days until Spider-Man releases, and then everyone like bombarded that with like, yeah, no, bring, don't you dare fucking kill physical, because no one wants this. Literally no one wants this. No one was asking for this. The only people this benefits are developers or companies in general. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I have to say. I'm sorry for the delay on update. Fucking hell, the delay on uploads. I've been working on a video about. I've been working on about a few things, but none of the scripts have really like panned out the way I wanted them to. So I've kind of been just waiting to come up with something that I actually want to do. But yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to get this out because I think it's worth talking about and worth bringing attention to. Support physical media. I bought physical games today. As after that announcement was made, I was like, okay, well, I want these games, so I'm gonna get them. Like Tactica, Persona 5 Tactica. Even though I haven't played Persona 5 yet, I just don't want to get that because it was like $10. Because I have beef with Game. Game it's like the UK version of GameStop. Game was like selling Persona 5 Tactica for like $9 on a shelf, and they were like. And I waited in a queue for like 5 minutes just to be told, oh yeah, actually, we don't have that in stock. Why'd you sell it then? Yeah, I also bought the God of War games because I wanted God of War. I want to play those games eventually. But in general, just a complete mess. Just genuinely a complete, utter mess. Hopefully Sony reverts it or offers a physical option, but we know they're not going to do that. It sucks, and Sony sucks, and it's surprising that they've been allowed to shoot themselves in the foot for this, or shoot themselves in the head, actually, for this long, but whatever. Alright, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time.